ridiculous because people can change and they have to exist that way to everybody. It couldn't be something which is relative to one or another, and that also is not the case. So these are the 9 points that we would think about in order to equalize our attitude towards all others. Now, from thinking of these points, we would come to 5 conclusions. And the conclusions would be that no matter how much other people help me or hurt me or what they do, I'm going to decide that I'm not going to feel partial. I'm going to be equal to all of them and wish to benefit all of them, because the point here is what we want to do is to expand our hearts out to everybody and to reaching the state of becoming a Buddha so that we can help everybody. We would make up our mind that I'm going to definitely equalize my attitude towards everybody. And here when we want to build this up as a beneficial habit, what we would do is visualize or imagine our spiritual teacher or Buddha or Guan Yin and ask for inspiration. Often we hear the word blessings, and blessings is a little bit maybe too mysterious a word, because it doesn't really explain what goes on. The word that's usually translated as blessings could better be translated as inspiration. It's bright, the 2 syllables in Tibetan. The first one means to brighten, to make us more bright, and the second is to transform. And so we can get very much inspired by the example of our spiritual teachers, by Guan Yin, by the Buddhas, and so on. And so we would ask for inspiration to be able to transform our attitudes and to have an equal attitude towards everyone. So we would visualize Guan Yin or Buddha or a spiritual teacher in the form of Guan Yin and ask for inspiration and imagine that white lights come from Guan Yin and fill us and chase out all the negativities in us, and so that our body becomes completely clear, full of light, and we imagine that now I'm very inspired that I can have an equal attitude towards everybody. That I'm not going to feel partial towards one or another. I'm going to this is going to help me in my decision to always be equally open to everybody in terms of helping them. Then the next point is to think about all the faults of selfish concern that I have. Because if I'm selfish and I'm only thinking about myself, then this is really the cause for all the different problems that I have. For instance, when I act in a destructive way, if I kill others, take the life of others, well, I'm doing that because of my selfish concern for myself. That I'm only thinking of myself, I'm not thinking of the other person. And what's the result of killing? As I discussed elsewhere this week in terms of karma, that the result of that is I myself am going to have a shorter life. My life is going to be filled with sickness and so on as a result of killing. And so these sort of negative things come from that. Or if I'm feeling, if I'm very poor, that's the result of the negative action of stealing from others. Why do I steal from others? It's because of my selfish concern. I'm only concerned about myself, not about the other person. As a result, I bring on all my problems of poverty, things not going well, as a result of my selfishness. Or if I come to a situation in which I'm depressed and I feel all sorts of self-pity, well, what's the reason for my depression? Why do I feel so badly? It's because I'm so preoccupied with myself. Or if I go to a place and I don't like the way that the bed is in the room, let's say if I'm going to a hotel, or I don't like the chair, or these sort of things, and I get so upset and angry, well, what's the cause of my problem? The cause of my problem was my preoccupation with myself. I was always thinking about me, and because of that, then I got very upset, I got very angry. And so really, when we look at it from any point of view, in any situation when things are going badly with us, or we're very upset, if we examine it closely enough, we can see that the cause of the problem is my self-preoccupation, my caring and cherishing only about myself and not thinking about others. And so, for instance, if we're hurt when we get insulted, why are we hurt? It's because we're thinking of ourselves. Or if somebody criticizes us in front of others, and we feel that I've lost face, and I get very, very upset about that, well, what's the cause of my upset? It's because I'm only concerned about me. I'm thinking so much about me, and what others are going to think about me. So the cause of my upset is this cherishing of myself, this total preoccupation and caring only about me. Or if there's an official who works only for themselves, who's very selfish, then everybody, when this official dies, they think, how wonderful it is that this person died. I wish they had died even sooner. They were such a bastard. So like that, everybody dislikes people who are selfish, who think only of themselves, and anything that goes badly, if we really think about it, as I say, we can trace it down to selfish concern. And so the second decision that we make is we decide or resolve that I'm going to try to rid myself of my selfish concern. And again, we ask for inspiration to be able to do this. And we imagine that lights come from Guanyin or Buddha or a spiritual teacher to help us to become firm in this idea that I'm going to try to get rid of my selfish concern. The next step is to think about all the advantages that come from caring about others and cherishing others. Like, for instance, if there's an official who's very good and who's always caring about others and helping people, then everybody likes that person. And in fact, if that person were to die, they would feel very badly that they had died. They would want them to live much, much longer. All our happiness comes from constructive actions. So, for instance, if we are thinking of others, then we'll refrain from killing others, from taking the life of others, and as a result, we'll have a long life and we'll always be healthy. And so where does health and long life come from? It comes from concern for others, which would cause us to restrain ourselves from hurting others or killing others. Or if we think about being wealthy, well, where does that come from? That comes from the concern with others that would cause us to restrain from stealing, restrain from cheating, these sort of things. If we restrain from taking things from others that don't belong to us, and instead we have concern for others and we're generous to others, then as a result of that, we ourselves are going to be wealthy. Things are going to go well for us. Or if we think in terms of having a good marriage, a partner who's faithful, and so on, well, that comes from restraining from improper sexual behavior. So not raping others, not having adultery, these sort of things. And why would we restrain ourselves from that? It's because of our concern for others. We would only, involve ourselves in these type of things, raping others, if we're just thinking about ourselves. And so having a good marriage, these sort of things as well, come from always only having our concern for others. So we would think in this way that I'm always going to try to feel great cherishing for others, and again, imagine Guanyin in front of us and to ask for inspiration, white lights coming to us, to try to develop concern and cherishing and care for all others. Then the fourth point is to again think about the faults of cherishing ourselves and the advantages of cherishing others. And when we've thought about that, then we think, well, am I really capable of changing my ideas of who it is that I care about all the time and who it is that I ignore? Because I had always been caring only about myself and not others. And when we think, am I capable of this, Well, actually, we definitely are capable of that. Because, for instance, we can look at the Buddhas. The Buddhas were able to do it, and they have all, I'm no different from the Buddhas. I have all the factors within me that would allow me to be able to change and to grow. But also, we can think about how we actually have already done this. We've already taken a great deal of concern for a body that belongs to someone else. For instance, if you think about our own body, well, there's a sperm and an egg. And a sperm and an egg belong to somebody else, belong to my parents. And here we have a body which grows out of parts of somebody else's body, and so it's not really our body at all. It's part of our parents' body, and yet we have come to cherish and care for that as if it were our own. But our body really isn't our own. It's something that's part of our parents' body. And so like that, if we've been able to care for a body which is grown out of the sperm and egg of somebody else, as if it were our own, then there's no reason why we can't have that same caring, that same cherishing for anybody else's body, which has arisen from the sperm and egg of other people as well. And so like this, we can demonstrate to ourselves that it is possible for us to have as much care for somebody else as we would for ourselves, that we would have as much concern as we would for ourselves. And so we again ask for inspiration because we make the decision that I definitely can change my attitudes concerning self and others. And so the next thing that we think, the fifth point, is again to think about the advantages of cherishing others and the disadvantages of cherishing myself, and to do it in an alternating type of fashion. So, for instance, we would think of the 10 destructive actions, and each one by one, followed by the constructive action, which is its counterpart. Like, for instance, we think of if we kill, that is coming from cherishing myself, and just leads to having a short life and a lot of sickness. Whereas if I think of others and refrain from killing, it gives me a long life and good health. Then we go to the next one, stealing. If I always steal from others, that's because of concern just for myself, and it brings about being poor, my business going badly, and so on. Whereas if I have concern from others and restrain from stealing, restrain from cheating, then this is going to bring about wealth. And like this, we go through each of the destructive actions and their constructive counterparts. And at the end of this, then we come to the decision that I definitely will change my attitude, exchange my attitudes concerning self and others. Now, this doesn't mean that now I'm you and you're me, but rather what it means is that instead of thinking just about concern only about myself and ignoring others, that now what I'm going to do is have concern for others, and I'm going to ignore myself. So we exchange who it is that we're going to have our major concern about, and who it is that we're going to ignore. And we decide that definitely I am going to change my attitudes. I am going to exchange who it is that I'm concerned with. I'm going to be now have my primary concern with others, based on having thought about the disadvantages of only being concerned with myself and the advantages of being concerned with others. So this is the fifth point, that we think I definitely will change my attitudes. Now, of course, sometimes it is helpful to put ourselves in the other person's position, because that helps us to develop more tolerance, more sympathy for them. Like, for instance, if we're going to an office and the people in the office are taking a long time to handle our problem, our work, then if we were to get impatient, then one way of handling that is to imagine ourselves as being this official in the office, and what a very unpleasant type of job they have. There's so many people making demands on them to do this or to do that, and that helps us to develop a little bit more patience. Or if we're impatient at a restaurant. Well, we could imagine ourselves being the cook and imagine having to get 50 meals all together at the same time, and everybody's demanding that it all be done immediately. Well, obviously that's not a very easy position to be in, and so it helps us to develop more patience and sympathy for the others. So here we've had the 5 decisions. And the 5 decisions are that I will equalize my attitude towards everybody, and I think about the disadvantages of cherishing myself. I decide that I'm going to try to end that, to stop that. And the 3rd, I think about the advantages of cherishing and being concerned with others, and I decide that I'm going to do that. And then I decide that it definitely is possible for me to be able to do that, to change who it is that I'm most concerned about, because I already have done that in terms of being concerned about a body that came from the sperm and egg of my parents with somebody else, and to feel that I definitely will change my attitudes. Now, there are many other type of things that we can think about, which is helpful in this type of situation to overcome selfishness. One of His Supreme Presence, the Dalai Lama's teachers, the late Kunu Lama Rinpoche, used to teach a method of saying that imagine yourself on one side and the whole crowd of people on the other side, and stand back in your mind and watch. And imagine now yourself acting in a very selfish and obnoxious way. Like you're pushing to get ahead of everybody else in line, or pushing to get ahead to get a better seat on the train, or to get served first in a restaurant, or these sort of things. And stand back and see, who do you think is what's fair in the situation? Would you think that this one person who's pushing has the right to be ahead of everybody else, or do we think in terms of everybody else that they as well have an equal right? Now, anybody, when we look back like that, would feel that this person who's pushing ahead and making such a scene and acting so selfish, we would think that this person is really obnoxious. This person, who are they? Who do they think they are, that they can act so obnoxiously and so selfishly and push ahead of everybody? So like that, if we imagine and picture ourselves acting that way, it helps us to get a little bit more perspective on ourselves so that we can control that. Now, all of this is leading up to a practice called giving and taking, Donglen in Tibetan. And what we want to do here is, we've decided that we're going to change our attitudes, right? In terms of who we are concerned about. We're going to be concerned about others, and we're not going to be concerned or cherish ourselves. And so now what we want to do is think in terms of taking on the problems of others and giving them our happiness. This is what giving and taking is. And it's done with feelings of love and compassion. Compassion is the wish for others to be free from their problems, and so we imagine actually taking their problems away from them. And love is the wish for others to be happy, and so we actually imagine giving them happiness. And this is done in conjunction with our breathing. And so the technique is when we breathe in, then we imagine that all the problems, all the suffering, all the diseases, sickness, all these things leaves the other person in the form of black substances and enters into our right nostril when we breathe in. And when we breathe out, then we imagine that all our happiness goes to others and enters them, in the form of white light coming out of our left nostril. So we breathe in. It's not necessary to have to hold our nose, one side or the other. It's just a matter of imagining this, that we breathe in all their negativities, all their sickness, and so on, and it comes into us in the form of all sorts of terrible substances, black things, and goes into our right nostril and comes to our heart and destroys the mass of selfishness, which is like a white clump, not a white clump, a black clump in our heart. And so these black things come in, and it dissolves into this blackness in our heart and destroys it, and instead white happiness, these sort of things, comes out of our left nostril when we breathe out, and we give this to others. Now, this is a very sophisticated type of technique. There are a lot of different visualizations that we can do, but it's not necessary for it to be too complicated. We can just imagine the negativity leaving others, their sickness and so on, coming into us, their problems, if they're possessed by some charm or ghosts or anything like that, or they're sick, that this leaves them. Like if we were shaving somebody's head, the black hair falls out, and so we imagine that this comes in and we accept it onto ourselves. Now, that's quite an important thing here, to feel, to have this willingness of taking on the problems of others onto ourselves. It's not just that we imagine it leaves them, but we have this willingness to accept it ourselves and to take on that problem ourselves. This would be like, in a general sense, if somebody has a problem with their family, for us to now consider it my problem. And if it's my problem, then how would I handle this? And then give them our solution, give them happiness. It's taking their problem seriously, taking it on ourselves, and then giving them our happiness, giving them a solution to how to be able to handle it. Now, this is the technique which is used in Tibetan Buddhism for being able to heal others, because we imagine that the sickness or whatever leaves them in the form of black substances, comes into us, and we have this willingness to take it on ourselves, and it's only going to work if we have that willingness. If we're selfish, if we don't want to, if we're not willing to take on their trouble ourselves, nothing is going to happen. So it has to have, usually nothing's going to happen. So we want this to come into ourselves, and our happiness going to others. And there was, all these teachings I had received from my own root guru, Serkong Rinpoche, who was one of the teachers of His Supreme Presence, the Dalai Lama. And people used to ask him, said that if you were to do this, for instance, take on somebody else's cancer or something like this, and you were to die, then wouldn't that be a real shame, a real waste? And Rinpoche answered, and he said, no, because in the process of doing it, I would, build up all the merit, all the positive potential that would allow me to become a Buddha, and everybody else then would be taken care of by my enlightenment. He said it was like if there's an astronaut who goes up into space and they get killed in an accident, then what happens is they become a hero, and the government will take care of all their family. And so, like that, we should have this willingness. He always used the example of one that Kunalama Rinpoche had given, of someone in a village who had taken on the sickness, a head injury of somebody else, and it actually came to them, and they died from that. And he said that we should have that willingness to be able to do that. Now, of course, it's not going to work in most cases. In most cases, we're not going to be able to heal others by ourselves. Why aren't we able to heal them? It's because we haven't really established that karmic relationship with them that would allow us to be able to heal them. If there's some spirit or something like that healing others through us, that's something else. But I'm talking about doing it ourselves. And when what we want to do by this practice in meditation, we imagine taking on the problems of others and giving them our happiness, is to develop the courage to take them on ourselves and to give our happiness to others. This is what's going to establish the karmic link or relationship with others, so that actually it will work. And when there is that very strong karmic relationship, then it is possible for it to happen. And this was exactly how my root teacher, Serkong Rinpoche, passed away. because a few years ago, in 1983, every 12 years, according to the Tibetan astrology, is a bad luck year for people, and it was this bad luck year for the Dalai Lama. And not that his Supreme Presence would have anything bad in terms of his own karma, but in general, whatever negativities or obstacles for Tibet and for the Tibetan people as a whole would ripen on his Supreme Presence in such a year. It was like that type of year when they lost Tibet and they had to flee. And so it was one of these years, and Serkong Rinpoche saw that there was a very major obstacle to the life of his Supreme Presence, the Dalai Lama. And so he said to one old monk that he was up in the mountains, and he said it would be very good if we could take this on ourselves, but don't tell anybody. Now, it's a long story. We don't have so much time, so I'll make it short. But after a few months, then there was a certain time when His Supreme Presence was flying to Switzerland and to go to some meetings there. And it turned out that this was the day when Arafat, the head of the Palestine Liberation Organization, was also flying to Geneva. And they were going to land within about a half hour of each other. And the Swiss authorities said that they couldn't guarantee the safety of His Supreme Presence, the Dalai Lama, because they were so concerned about some terrorist thing happening with Mr. Arafat. Now, Serkong Rinpoche was way up in the mountains. There was no way that he could know the exact time or, what was the exact schedule. But he had been teaching in a certain place, and he insisted that they leave and that they go to a different place. And he insisted that the old monk that he had told it would be good to take this obstacle on ourselves, he insisted that this man come with him. And they stopped at a monastery on the way, and Rinpoche made offerings to all the monks there. And his attendant had said, oh, it's late in the day, we can do that tomorrow. But Rinpoche insisted, no, we have to do it now. And when the monks there invited him to stay overnight, he said, no, I have to go to this certain village. And they said, well, if you want, why don't you stop here on your way down? And he said, no, if you want to see me again, you'll have to come to this village. So it was quite clear. All the hints were there of what was going to happen. And he went to this village, to a certain person's house, and he asked them, are you busy the next few weeks? And he said, no. And so very good, so he stayed, because he didn't want to inconvenience him or anything like that. And in the evening, he said to his attendant, in the evening he did his normal daily practice. In addition to all his meditations, one of the things that he always did was recite from memory a 250-page book of Tsongkhapa, the most difficult book on philosophy in the Tibetan language, and it was always his custom to recite it from memory each evening. So he recited it from memory, and then when he finished that, he called his attendant, and he said to his attendant, I don't really feel too well, because he had to say something to him. And the attendant said, well, is there anything that, and he put his head on his shoulder, which was something he never did. And the attendant said, is there anything that you want me to do? Should I get a doctor, get medicine? And Serkong Rinpoche said, no, it's not necessary, it doesn't matter. And he said, you need to go to the washroom, to the toilet. And Rinpoche said yes, so he helped him to go there. He was quite an old man. And then he said that he wanted to go to bed. And normally Rinpoche always slept on a yellow sheet, and he said, you should lay down a white sheet. And so he did that, and he lied down, and he started to breathe, and he breathed in, very strongly a few times, and then just simply passed away, just lying right there. And it was really quite incredible, because at just that time when he did this, because he did exactly what he said he was going to do. He would take on this obstacle from the life of His Supreme Presence, the Dalai Lama, and just at that moment, the Dalai Lama was flying to Switzerland. He was in midair, and Arafat all of a sudden, miraculously, almost, decided that he would change his plans and not go to Switzerland that day, but come the next day. The Dalai Lama was flying to Switzerland. He was in midair, and Arafat, all of a sudden, miraculously, almost, decided that he would change his plans and not go to Switzerland that day, but come the next day. And so Arafat didn't come that day when the Dalai Lama landed, although there was a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos at the airport, and the motorcade got a little bit lost, and all sorts of minor obstacles happened, but nevertheless, this major obstacle of this danger to the Dalai Lama's life was averted, and Rinpoche actually took that on himself, and with the total willingness to even pass away and sacrifice his life, which he did in order to bring about the better welfare and happiness of everybody. And so likewise, we shouldn't think that these stories about great masters who are able to actually do these things are things that we only read about in history books about 1,000 years ago, but there are great masters in our present age as well who are at that level of practice that they're able to actually do these things, sacrifice themselves in order to bring about the happiness of everyone. This happened in 1983, only 4 years ago. So, this is the general practice here of exchanging our attitude for self and others. When we do these meditations and we imagine that the sickness and obstacles of others come on us and we give them our happiness, then the next step that we would do after that is to see, because we're taking responsibility here to do something about it, we would say, well, am I really able to do this? And no, not really. I don't have this connection with everybody. I don't have the courage, the bravery to do this. How can I do this? The only way I can do this is if I become a Buddha myself. I overcome all my limitations, realize all my potentials. And so we develop bodhicitta, which is our heart is set on becoming a Buddha, overcoming our limitations, realizing our potentials so that we can benefit everybody. And the way that we, what's usually called develop bodhicitta, is to then expand our heart out to others more and more in these methods of having our attitude equal towards everybody, changing our concern from just ourselves to our major concern to others, and working to help them, because this is what's going to actually bring us to the point where we can become a Buddha and help others the best. Any questions? Or these sort of things. What is being discussed here is to try to overcome the, you know how some people are very possessive of their partner. You know, the wife always wants the husband to be home, and you shouldn't go out with your business friends, and why didn't you call me, and these sort of things. This type of attitude in a relationship which is exclusive, you know, that it's just you and me, and to hell with everybody else, and we're completely jealous of everybody else. This is something which is not only very limiting, but can be very destructive. It's destructive to the relationship, as well as destructive in terms of our ability to help others. So what we want to do is have an equal, open attitude towards everybody, and even though we're married, even though we're in a couple type of situation, that doesn't mean that our hearts aren't still open to others as well.
When one takes on the problem of another person,
Yes?
then does it mean that the other person's karma will be removed?
The question is, when we take on the problem of somebody else, like their sickness, does it mean that their karma is removed? Well, not really. It's sort of more in the sense that a different karma is ripening. In other words, if for this to work, you know, for us to actually be able to heal somebody, there has to be the karmic connection with that person, like the example of Rinpoche with his Supreme Presence, the Dalai Lama. Well, he was his teacher, he was the closest person, actually, of anybody to the Dalai Lama, and so there was this connection which allowed for it to actually work. And that connection could be from past lives as well. But in any case, the connection has to be there so that there's the karma for the other person to be healed by us. So it's not that we take on their karma, it's sort of like a different karma ripens.
So means it's not possible to work every time.
It's not, that's correct, it won't work every time. if we've practiced this meditation a great deal in our imagination, imagining that we take on the problems of everybody, and we give happiness to everybody, which is what a Buddha does, that will build up the causes for it to work, for us to have the karmic connection with everybody, so that it'll work with everybody. That's why we wanted to equalize our attitude towards everybody, because we might, if we're a healer, only want to heal and help those that will give us money, or those that we like, or those that are powerful, or these sort of things. What we want to do is have an equal attitude so that we can help everybody. And so this is a way of building up this connection with everybody so that we can help everybody. There's only a Buddha who can actually help absolutely everybody. But even in those cases, the other people have to be receptive. If people are closed and not receptive, then there's not much that can be done. One great Lama, another one of the teachers of His Supreme Presence, the Dalai Lama, this was Tijang Rinpoche, the junior tutor, used to say that it's very helpful if when we go to sleep, we think that this is my last day and I not expect to wake up in the morning. Or when we part from somebody, to expect that, to think that this is the last time I'm ever going to see this person and not expect to see them again. If we do see them again, then it's a bonus. Or if we wake up in the morning, it's a bonus. Now, the benefit of that is that we don't put off to tomorrow saying something nice to another person, doing whatever nice things we want to do with somebody. If we want to apologize, if we want to say to somebody how much we appreciate what they've done for us, don't put it off to tomorrow. They could be dead. But don't leave unfinished business. Whatever positive things we want to do them now.
Can I digress from today's lecture and ask you a question? The question is, a man may be like his grandfather, but not like his father. The germs of disease have been introduced into the organism of an ancestor. Say for some generations they remain dormant. But suddenly they manifest themselves in actual disease. Your comment, please. Your comment, please.
This is speaking in terms of inheritance from an ancestor.
Yeah.
Well, we have two types of inheritances. We have a physical inheritance through genetics from our ancestors. We speak on the genetic level, and we also have an inheritance from our own past lives. In terms of now, instead of genes, we have our own instincts, our own habits. Now, we can have the circumstance of, like you say, disease within a family from the ancestors, but not every child in that family is going to get it. So what determines whether one child gets it and another doesn't, that will be from the individual karma of that child, from their own past lives, the instincts in their own mind streams. So it's a combination of the two. From our the negative potentials that we've built up in past lives, that would cause us to take rebirth in a certain family. Let's say if we have the instincts, the potential to get a hereditary disease, let's say, hemophilia or some type of, this bleeding disease, well, if we have that potential to have that, that will cause us to be reborn in a family that has hemophilia, that has the genetics, the genes for that. Now, other people could be born in that family, not every child gets it, but as part of the ripening of the karma, then that would cause us to be reborn in a family situation that would allow for our negative potentials to ripen.
I think that should be enough for the night.
Right. Because it's
so getting visited and so on. On behalf of all of us here, Equalizing, Dr. Berzin, we'd like to thank you.
Thank you. Let's end with the dedication. Whatever positive potential and energy has been built up by our discussing these things over these various sessions, may that go towards everybody being able to overcome all their limitations and negativities and problems. May everybody be able to realize all their potentials for the benefit of everyone.
菩萨广大圆满无碍大悲心陀罗尼。南无千手千眼观世音菩萨广大圆满无碍大悲心陀罗尼。 Jai
That's ni ja la ni sa ri ma ha bo di sa pa ma la ma si li sa ri je la je ma da la ma sa ye ni ma sa la je li ni sa ma la ye ja la ma ma la mo di li sa ri sa la la se ma la sa ri ma se ma la sa ye ho lo si li sa la si li so lo po di ye po ye mi di li ye na la di je si li sa ri na ma ye ma sa pa si ta ye sa pa ma si ta ye sa pa si ta ye sa pa na ye sa pa na la di je pa ja sa pa si la sa na ma ye sa pa ma si ta ye sa pa je je la si ta ye sa pa ta ma je si ta ye sa pa na la di je pa ja la ye sa pa ma pa ye sa ja la ye sa pa na ma la na la ye na ma ri ye pa la je di sa pa na ye sa pa si de sa ma ka la pa ta ye Recitation of the Prajna Parimita Hridaya Sutra, the Heart Sutra 3 times.
Hãy subscribe cho kênh Ghiền Mì Gõ để không bỏ lỡ những video hấp dẫn.
Bồ Tát Ni Sư Sơ Bồ Đề Công Công Bồ Đề Sư Sơ Ni Sư Công Công Ni Sư Sơ Tố Giác Sinh Sơ Y Bồ Đồ Sư Sơ Ni Sư Sơ Chú Hoa Công Trang Bồ Tát Bồ Phê Bồ Hộ Bồ Điên Bồ Tát Bồ Thiên Sư Bồ Công Trong Bồ Sư Bồ Thông Nhạc Thị Sư Bồ Yên Đa Bì Sư Thần Nhi Bồ Tát Thần Nhạc Vây Chủ Ba Bồ Yên Chế Lai Chế Bồ Yên Sư Chế Bồ Hộ Minh Chế Bồ Hộ Minh Chế Lai Sư Bồ La Sư Y Bồ La Sư Chế Bồ Cô Chi Mê Đa Bồ Sư Y Bồ Tát Y Bồ Tát Đa Cô Bồ Đề Sa Đô Y Ba Ra Mi Đa Cô Đế Bồ Ba Hai Bồ Ba Hai Cô Bồ Yêu Công Bồ Yên Đi Đen Tam Bồ Thiên Thiếu Đi Nghe Ban San Sư Chủ Ba Y Ba Ra Mi Đa Cô Đế Niêu Đa Đa San Niêu San Bồ Đề Cô Đế Ba Ra Mi Đa Sư Đa Thần Châu Sư Đa Mi Châu Sư Bồ Tát Châu Sư Bồ Tát Thần Châu Lãnh Châu Y Chế Cô Thiên Sư Bồ Si Cô Đà Ba Ra Mi Đa Đô Đi Sa Châu Yên Chế Đi Chế Đi Ba Ra Chế Đi Ba Ra Thành Chế Đi Bồ Đề Sa Reciting the spirit mantra for rebirth into the pure Wong Sang Chang 9 times for the benefit of Mr. To who passed away today. Manupalaya, Vanasato Dinapa, Ikadigo Nibawa, Sukayam Nibawa, Supokayam Nibawa, Anuragam Nibawa, Savasidi Me Payacha, Savakama Suchame, Chitam Sriyam Kuro, Ahahaho Bhagavan, Savakadakata Vasama Menuncha, Vachapawa Mahasamaya, Sadva Ahome, Vasasato Samaya, Manupalaya, Vasasato Dinapa, Ikadigo Nibawa, Supokayam Nibawa, Supokayam Nibawa, Anuragam Nibawa, Savasidi Me Payacha, Savakama Suchame, Chitam Sriyam Kuro, Ahahaho Bhagavan, Savakadakata Vasama Menuncha, Vachapawa Mahasamaya, Sadva Ahome, Vasasato Samaya, Manupalaya, Vasasato Dinapa, Ikadigo Nibawa, Supokayam Nibawa, Supokayam Nibawa, Anuragam Nibawa, Savasidi Me Payacha, Savakama Suchame, Chitam Sriyam Kuro, Ahahaho Bhagavan, Savakadakata Vasama Menuncha, Vachapawa Mahasamaya, Sadva Ahome.